Hi, it's Melissa again at Laveen Crossfit. I'm just going to take a few minutes to kind of share my journey in changing my nutrition, because I think sometimes we look at where other people are at and we don't realize that they've come a long way too. So I kind of want to just share where I started at and that it was hard. It wasn't easy. A couple of months after I had my third child, I was about 40 pounds overweight, and my husband had started doing CrossFit about 10 months before and had decided that he wanted to start eating paleo, which meant no grains, no cheese, no processed foods. And I already felt like I cooked all of our meals. I didn't ever buy processed foods in the sense of like something that was frozen and then I put it in the oven. I never did that. I always made things from scratch, although we did eat dairy and cheese and noodles and those kinds of things, bread. So he decided that this is something he wanted to do. And I had decided that I was going to start changing my nutrition and eating healthier. So I had started doing Zone, so I was weighing and measuring my food. And just looking at the quality of my food and trying to not eat out a lot or eat junk food. And so the first thing I did was 21 days no sugar. And I was a very mean person. It was so hard. I think that my husband did not like coming home for like the first 10 days because I was so grumpy. I had so many headaches. And I had no idea how addicted I had become to sugar. I wasn't a soda drinker, but I liked to eat sweets, and I ate, condiments, packaged marinades, all those things, and didn't realize how much sugar I was consuming. So I did the 21 days no sugar, and when I finished it, I felt so empowered. I never thought it was something I could do. I really surprised myself when I finished it. So I kept just cooking the way I was, and I can remember sitting at meals and my husband would pick out the noodles out of meals or things that he didn't want to eat. And it made me so mad. And I was so frustrated because here I was working so hard. I had these 3 little kids. I had 3 kids under the age of 5. And I was working so hard to be a mom, and I was cooking meals for my husband, and I felt like he didn't like them. And so I was a little bit offended, I guess. And so this went on for probably a month, and I finally took a step back and really looked at where my husband was coming from and started maybe considering that some of my issues that I was having with my body and different things could be from the food I was eating. So when my son was about 6 months old, I started doing CrossFit. My husband had gotten his level 1 certification. So I started CrossFitting, and I quit eating grains. And it was really hard. The first thing that we took out of our diet was noodles, which was super hard for my kids. They were little. That was like a staple in their diet. And so I got online, and I started searching recipes. And at that time, the only website that was out was Everyday Paleo. Sarah Fragoso was the only person that I could find that was putting out this kind of stuff. So I'd spend hours on her website looking for recipes, trying to figure out how to feed my family. And it was really hard. It was really, really hard. I started feeling better. I started seeing results in my body composition and how I felt. So I knew it was working, but it was really challenging, especially with my kids. So we continued to start cutting out little things here and there. We didn't eat as much bread. We quit eating most grains. Really just started focusing on eating a lot of vegetables and fruits and meats. And it went well. I was noticing even in my kids' behavior that they weren't as up and down. They really would stay a lot more, I mean, they were kids, they were busy and crazy and wild, but they didn't have these major outbursts of changes in behavior. So I knew that those things were helping them too. And I would see when they would eat sugar, or even just things like a baggie of goldfish, it really affected their behavior. So I knew that for them, it was something that was helping them as well. So I continued doing it. I continued searching things out and training. And it took me about 8 months, and I lost 30 pounds just doing nutrition. This was even before I started CrossFitting. And so that was a huge testament to me of how much our food fuels our body, how much it changes us. My hormone levels were better. I wasn't as crazy postpartum, struggling with that kind of stuff. I was noticing things evening out. My head felt more clear. I was sleeping better. I didn't have as many problems with my knees, which I had always really struggled with my knees hurting, and I realized that it was because of inflammation. It wasn't just that I had bad knees, it was because of the food that I was feeding my body. So after I had lost the weight and I started CrossFitting and I started building muscle, and I just started realizing that nutrition and exercise go hand in hand. And you can do one without the other, but you won't see the blessings and the benefits as readily if you're not doing both. I remember the last thing that we cut out of our house was cereal. I thought my kids were going to riot. My oldest daughter lost her mind that we didn't have cereal anymore. But they adjusted and they got used to it, and now they eat scrambled eggs and bacon and fruit for breakfast, and they're okay with that. We have found that for us, our kids can do oatmeal. We do a little bit of white rice because we need those carbs in our diet because of the way that we train. And it's important to find what works for your body. But I just want to share with you guys that I think sometimes we look at people and we see where they are in their training or their body composition or what they're eating, and I know for me, it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I am. It's not an easy journey. It's not something that I just went in my pantry one day and threw everything out and the world was glorious and food was just good. It took a lot of time. So I don't want you to get frustrated with where you're at. If you have a bad day and you eat a cookie, it's okay. You get back up the next morning and focus on your goals and what your goals are, where you want to be with your nutrition, and just hang in there. Keep plugging along and know that the more you work at it, the easier it'll get, and you'll find things that work for you and work for your family, and it will be a blessing in your life. And I hope that helps you see in some way that it's not easy, and I still struggle with it. There's still days that I eat junk, and I just know that the next day is going to be a better day. So hang in there, keep trying, keep on the journey, and enjoy it, and share what you learn with other people. Stay Laveen strong. Thanks.